Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. So Google has announced their spam update that's running alongside the March core update, but Google has published separate documentation for both the spam update and the core update. In my opinion, both the core update and the spam update are the most significant updates that Google is going to make this year. Now, I might be wrong, but these are going to be updates that affect many websites' rankings. And it's for a few reasons. Number one, Google is targeting three main avenues of spam. In fact, Google identified these avenues of spam many years ago, and I said that they're going to target these avenues of spam or low quality search results, but they haven't really done much about it. And so now Google is going to crack down on this over the next month. We may see a lot of websites lose rankings, and I might as well have a lot of people contacting me to try and figure out why their website is losing rankings and how they can address it. And so in this video, I'm going to go into what Google has said. And if you have one of these websites, or you're engaging in one of these spammy practices, or Google these spammy practices, then you should turn things around right now. And you should start doing it right now before you get penalized by the algorithm. Because in my experience, once you get hit by the algorithm, it's not until the next algorithm update that there's going to be a reevaluation and your rankings may improve. And so if we're going to make any improvements, you might as well be making it right now. Before I jump into the video, just want to say I'm an SEO. I do SEO for a living, been doing SEO for the past 15 plus years, and I offer SEO services. So if you're looking for someone to do SEO for you, or you're an agency looking for a consultant, there's a link in the description. Click the link, fill out the Google Forms, and I'll get in touch with you and we can discuss exactly what you need. Also, if you're looking for a website audit, there is a link to my website. You can buy the website audit directly of my website. The most affordable audit you'll find, but it's also the most comprehensive because I not only audit your site, but I go into strategies that you can implement to improve what's going wrong with your website, especially now with the spam update. You probably need to be really dialed in and understand what's going on your site more than ever before, especially if you're engaging and the spammy tactics that Google has identified. The three spammy tactics that Google has identified is expired domain exploitation, skill content abuse, and site reputation abuse. And these are three things that SEOs like me have engaged in a lot. Now, I don't engage in skill content abuse because I've always believed that that's the wrong way and that's a short-term way of making money or short-term way of ranking. But apparently a lot of people have made a lot of money doing it, and I'll go into how they're doing that right now. Also, so that I can protect you guys who watch my videos from actually ending up spending and wasting a lot of money. And so the first one is expired domain abuse. And that means quite literally SEOs or people who want to manipulate search results will go out and buy an expired domain. And there are quite a few sellers out there. They'll buy an expired domain, they'll put up a website on the expired domain, and they'll start ranking. It's not as simple as I have made it out to be, but that's pretty much what's done. But what Google has said that if you buy an expired domain for, let's say, in the medical niche, let's say it's a hospital domain, they were doing very well, the reputation is very good, and now you buy that domain and you host a casino site, trying to bank off that reputation, then you will be nailed by Google's spam update. Now, what if you buy the hospital website, you buy the hospital domain, but you're hosting a cannabis website? Will you still be nailed? Yes, probably, because what Google is not saying is that Google is now going to start cracking down on what it sees as illegitimate use of expired domains. Now, the legitimate use would be that you buy an expired domain and repurpose it in the medical niche. And so it could be a website that sells medical supplies. It could be a website that's probably in a hospital. That could be a website that provides information in the medical niche. But if you're going to repurpose that in a totally different niche, or even to a distantly related niche, Google is not going to like that. And so that does not mean expired domains are going to be irrelevant. It's just that now, if you're going to repurpose expired domains, you might want to find one that's within the niche you're trying to rank in and not something entirely different. Also, what's not mentioned in this in Google's documentation is expired domain redirects. And so a lot of SEOs do in order to improve their rankings is they would buy expired domains, well, with very good reputations, and then they would then redirect those domains to the main domain that they're trying to rank, and that will help pull in some link juice or some domain juice onto the domain that they're trying to rank. And now that's not going to work as well. And there's a technical explanation that I'll not get into this video, but trust me on this, it's not going to work anymore. If you want to practice that, you probably want to buy a domain that's within the niche and then redirect that. But even that's not going to work as well, because it's going to diminish the value of these kind of redirects and how link juice is passed. And so the next one is scaled content abuse. Now, Google has previously never talked about scaled content abuse in the past year before AI, before ChatGPT. Google's documentation never ever mentioned scaled content abuse. And the reason for that was because there was no scaled content abuse. The most you would see is there would be a content mill that generates hundreds of articles a month, and they would employ maybe 100, 200 writers, and they would be generating 5, 6, 7 articles a day. Each writer would generate 6, 7 articles a day, and that would be like 600, 700 articles, and those would be published across a network of websites. But even that is not at the scale of the type of abuse that Google is now seeing, and it's also now being promoted by a lot of SEOs. So if you go to a lot of these AI channels or SEO to talk about generating millions of dollars using AI content, and you can just generate content at scale and start ranking, Google is against that. Google has been against that since day one. But the way they've phrased it is that they don't care how the content is generated. So it can be human-written content, it can be AI-generated content, but if it's done at a high velocity and the quality of the content is low, then you're going to be penalized. Now, how many writers can write 100 articles a day? I don't think there are many out there. So I think the hint is that this is aimed at websites that are using AI-generated content, and not just using AI-generated content, but it's using it without editing. So it's just pulling in the content and just publishing it on the fly. There are some custom tools that people have made, and they're also selling, and I see them selling and promoting these tools on various YouTube channels, is that you can install the plugin into WordPress, and what it does is you can point it at a website, and it literally rewrites all the pages of that website and publishes it onto your domain or your website, and complete with internal linking and everything. So it's done on the fly. And now this kind of mass content generation, which is often 600, 700, 800 pages a day for a new domain, we're going to see Google crack down on this, and they're already cracking down on this. And so if you've been engaging in this kind of practice, you could probably say sayonara to your website. Next one is site reputation abuse. Now, this is Google's way of saying that if you're buying sponsored content on a third-party website, if you're buying guest posts on a third-party website, if you're buying a link from a third-party website, then the third-party website from where you're buying the link will be hit. And so Google doesn't explain this in a lot of detail, but Google says that, or I could surmise that if it's not directly related to the main domain, so let's say the main domain is a hospital site and you're selling cannabis online, and there's a sponsored post on the hospital site about your domain, then that's unnatural, and that's something that Google will look into and probably penalize. And so if there are many articles like these on the hospital site, then Google will penalize the hospital site, because that hospital site will be seen as a site that promotes spammy content. Now, in the past, Google has said that if you have a rel sponsor link, a sponsored label, and you have all of that, you're not going to be penalized because you're making it very clear that this is sponsored content. But now, even if you're making it really clear that this is sponsored content, you're still going to be hit if that content you're promoting is not directly related to your website. So again, be very careful. What Google has said is that it's going to give websites till May the 5th to rectify this. So if you have this type of content on your website, identify it and then get Google to de-index it or delist it or hide it from the public. And this is going to be done in your Google Search Console quite easily. And so that's what Google is recommending. Now that it's very clear what the spam update is all about, I think Google has made this now very clear to help webmasters identify what content Google is going to classify as being spammy. And so it's night and day. It's very clear. If you're engaging in any one of these tactics, you're going to be hit. Now, I know there are going to be people that say a lot of this stuff will still continue to rank, and I believe that that's the case. Google cannot hit every website out there, and there'll still be ones that game the system. But by and large, if you're a business owner or if you're someone who runs an affiliate site or a network of affiliate sites, beware of this. Make sure that you're not engaging in these tactics, because you're spending a lot of time and money on building your website. You're probably also spending time and money on SEO. And so if you get hit by something like that, a spam update, then that's going to really kill your earnings. And then once you've actually been hit by a manual penalty or even an algorithmic penalty, recovering from it takes a long time. I do a lot of recovery, so I can tell you it can take anywhere from 3 to 8 months to recover from an algorithmic penalty. It can take anywhere up to a year to properly recover from a manual penalty. And so you wouldn't want to be engaging in any of these practices on websites that you care about. I engage in a lot of these practices on my test websites to test various things, but not on my client sites. I don't experiment with my client sites, and so I'm very careful about what I do. I'm very conservative about what I do for my clients, even if the overall process of them ranking is slower than it would be if I tested stuff, but I do it that way because I don't want to jeopardize these businesses. So I hope you guys like the video. Let me know if you've been hit by the spam update, and also if you think that the spam update would mean the end of AI-generated content produced en masse the way it's being done right now. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.